Losing £10 a month, yeah, it's not funny at that point.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Archie Hamilton Racing and to another video where this one's going to be a little bit different but interesting at the same time. In today's video, what I really wanted to do was have a sit down with Tony from Gravelwood Car Sales, a very good friend of mine who buys and sells cars. I've got lots of questions for him, and what I wanted to do, like I say, is sit down, ask him all sorts about the motor trade, how you make money on cars, the overheads, the secret costs, which we probably all don't know, because I have a lot of people that write to me and ask me how they can make money on cars. I'm probably not the best person to ask on this, but Tony, being so experienced in this industry, is perfect for this. And there's so many things in here which I cannot wait to ask him, which we just don't know, like, because we wouldn't really, you know, come across these sorts of details. So I can't wait. We're gonna have a laugh with him, but it's also going to be very interesting at the same time, with all these costs and everything, and how to make money on cars. Let's get cracking with today's video.
Right, here we go. We're in. This is it. This is it. Well, I've never seen such a shoddy setup in all my life.
I've come up with an idea, and a lot of people have asked me on Instagram about advice on buying and selling cars, how it all started, and we want to know more about all of it, how you sort of do it all, how you make money on cars, where you find them, this and that.
Hello.
How you started. That's a good one, because how you started buying and selling cars.
From the bottom. You know, the quickest way to lose £1 million in life is become a motor dealer if you don't know what you're doing. And that's a true story, that is. Like, you can't just come into this job with a load of money and think, oh, I'm going to start buying and selling cars. I mean, you'd literally lose the money. It doesn't work like that. You have to know what you're doing. So the best advice I can give, I don't actually advise anyone to come and do this job anymore, because it's changed. It's not the job it was, even when I started nearly 15 years ago. It's not the job it was. It's very competitive now. It was competitive then, but it's even worse now. But start at the bottom and work your way up. That's exactly what I did. I started selling £100 cars, and at the time I had a valeting company, and I still had the valeting company, and they run concurrent, and I was spivving these cars up at home. And
really?
Then, yeah, and then sell them in the paper, like sell them on Auto Trader or whatever.
Well, there was another paper which was, you could look at it, I can't remember what it's called.
Exchange and Mark.
Yeah.
And the Loot. But that was when I was very young.
My dad used to go through all this.
Yeah, of course he did. Yeah. But that was when I was very young. I wasn't a motor dealer then. The Loot went away. But yeah, that's how I started selling like real crappy bits of crap. And then when the recession hit in 2008, you was a kid. I mean, you was probably still at Milford or wherever you went.
Millfield.
Milfield.
Let's get the name right. I was hoping we did this whole video in one take, but that's not going to happen anymore.
So in 2008, when the recession hit,
yeah,
that was when I'd put in the custard, and decided to solely go be a motor dealer. So I was very lucky, because when I had the valeting company, well, that was a means to an end. It got me loads of contacts within the trade, which is how I still buy my cars now. I don't go to auction. Everything's bought from main dealer part exchanges or privately. Social media now.
Because that's actually one that actually leads me on to a question I was going to ask you at the end, to be honest. But where do you find the cars you want to sell? Because obviously people, you know, they see the cars which are here, and we get the chance to go around and, you know, you sell lots of these.
Yeah.
Where does someone start with finding cars? Is it easier when you become a dealer like yourself and you're established and people call you, or do you have to find them?
No, so like I said, now I would not recommend to anyone to come and do this job now, because the old days you would be able to buy cars out of dealers, part exchanges and that, but because most of them are PLCs now, they obviously send all their cars to auction. So I guess if you really, really, really wanted to become a motor dealer and you was desperate and you thought you could do it, then the only way really, say if you said to me tomorrow, I want to become a motor dealer, you're not going to have the contacts. The only way you can buy cars is from an auction. I wish you the very best of luck with that though.
But there's everyone doing that.
Yeah.
So how do you be different?
Well, that's why I'm different, because like I said, I was lucky enough in 2008, 2009 to have these contacts, because I used to work for them, used to clean their cars. So I then started buying cheap stuff, and you know the managers all move around different groups, but I still have a contact base, and then I realised 4 or 5 years ago that the market was changing and it was going towards social media, which is why I got involved with all you lot, because I could see that there was a change in the way that, you know, social media was becoming more of a present and more of an advertising tool than it was just putting your cars up. So I decided to attack that market as well, which I did.
And
so,
you to be fair to you, you spotted that pretty early.
I did spot it
because
very early, yeah.
That must have been 4 years to 5 years ago since you met Paul,
Yeah.
and then you met everyone else. So
yeah.
back then, people weren't really using social media to the maximum. Like a lot of dealers now, you see them, everyone on social media trying to, you know, really pump it out.
Yeah.
But 4 years ago, you were probably one of the only guys that was a figure, a sort of a personality of all your cars.
Yeah.
So Mike, your business, did you see an increase? Because some people go, social media is a load of rubbish. It doesn't help.
No. It does help, and it definitely works. The problem with me is how much of a percentage of more cars do I actually sell through social media, because I still have all my same advertising avenues. I haven't cut them off.
They're still the same. You still have to.
You still got to keep doing that. The difference is now, I know when someone comes from social media to buy a car because they're very comfortable, because they already know me. They already know the business. They already know. So they probably still would have come to buy the car, but it makes the process a lot easier when someone. Listen, I don't.
They trust you.
They trust me.
That's
yeah.
the difference. They know you're not going to run off with their
for whatever. We're not.
Yeah.
We're doing the job properly. It's not just about running off with their money.
And I've seen you hand over cars. I think that's another thing which is important, and that is customers returning. So that must be a big part of your business.
Of course. Listen, in life and in business, you cannot keep everyone happy. There will always be someone that you'll piss off. You can't odds that, because it's a percentage game. You can't. You know, people try, and this country is very hell-bent on customer service compared to other countries. Some countries are terrible. I've been around the world, and some countries are awful at it, but this country is good at customer service. Do not just think, oh, I've got a few $100,000, I'm going to remortgage my house. You've never done this job before. I get so many messages, Tony, how did you get into this? And it's a process. I haven't just woken up and have £2 million worth of stock and a good business. That's took me 15 years. That bit people don't see, and the graft of me getting up at 3 a.m. in the morning. I still do that now, mate.
Yeah, and that's something which people probably don't know. Is whenever I'd call Tony up in the morning, you actually go and pick up the cars.
Of course.
There's a big part of the business where you don't see Tony's on the road most days.
Yeah.
Getting these filming days in is not that easy because you're never here. You go and pick them up with Sean, who works with Tony.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that you guys do together. And I said, why do you not just get someone to do that? And you said, well, because they are doing that, but we've got too many to pick up, so I'm on the road. So you have to go, when you find a car, you go and pick it up.
There's so much more to a motor dealership than just picking up cars, buying them and selling them. There's so much more to it. When it's a business like this, you know, you have to do the banking, you have to pay bills. There's always a problem. Cars have to be prepared. That's another thing as well. If you decide that you wake up one morning, you want to be a motor dealer, how are you going to get them prepared? Who's your tyre man? Who's your workshop man? Where's your paint shop? Who does your wheels?
And how are you going to pay for it all?
How are you going to pay for it all? I mean, the list goes on, mate. Most people that come into the motor trade that have never done it before do not last long at all, and all they do is lose a load of money because they get tucked up as well. Because as soon as we find out that someone's new to the job, we rub our hands together and ram them into a load. That's what happens. No, it's true.
Yeah.
They're like the
dog,
like the duck of the business, like the duck of the business.
Yeah.
So you
see people come. How many? I bet you've seen a lot of people come and go.
And you know the biggest one is not the new people that come in, because there's 30,000 dealers in this country, probably something like
Wouldn't
that.
have even known that.
Yeah, there's roughly. I think there's about 30,000 dealers,
Wow.
roughly. Main dealer is an independent, and I would say the percentage that have come into it, just woke up one morning and think I want to be a dealer, is tiny. It is so small. They've normally been managers at main dealers and they've decided that they want to go out on their own.
Some people see people buying and selling cars online, but they might not be their cars they're selling. They might be SORing cars. How does it work here? Do you buy the majority of your cars to sell? And that's a big expense.
We own all our cars. We don't do SOR. The only SOR that we do is to an odd existing customer. So we've got
that Lamborghini Urus.
That's a sale or return car, yeah. So we've got nearly 50 cars in stock at the moment, and there's 2 cars here that are not mine. So the percentage, and that's only because they're existing customers. We know them. We don't. If someone calls us up and say, "Will you sell my car?" and I've never dealt with them before, I won't do it. You say you give me your car, it's 50 grand to sell, right? That doesn't mean that that's what I'm going to get for it. Firstly, it's not sold because it's advertised. So it's like me saying, "I'll tell you what, give me 45 grand. I'm going to buy that car. I'm going to put it up at 50 grand, say, as an instance, and I might give you a profit on it." I don't know yet, because this is true. But when we buy a car, it's calculated, but we don't know. We lay an amount of money out. We don't know what we're going to get back. So if this is the easiest way for me to explain it, Joe Public essentially. If someone says to you, "Give me 45 grand," I'm gonna try and get you 48, 49 back. But I don't know when, I don't know if I can, and if we're unlucky, you're going to get less than your 45 grand back in 3 months, 6 months.
And it might take you months to get anything back.
That's what I'm saying. So at that point, from a general public point of view, you think to yourself, "Well, I'm not doing that." Because it is literally a lottery, mate. It's just that now when you become more experienced, you kind of know, we've kind of nailed it with the stock that we know that kind of sells. Again, if I knew exactly what sold, because obviously it's all peaks and troughs, if I knew exactly what sold all the time, I'd be loads more. I'd probably retire now.
Where is the biggest profit margin? So if someone buys a car for 8 to 10 grand, they might have a grand in it?
Who knows, mate?
Oh.
Who knows? That's what I just said to you.
Well,
so it's the same principle of me saying to you...
No, but how, do you know when you buy a car for 8 grand how much you want across it?
Yeah, but every dealer's different.
Right. Okay.
So there's no set amount of money. Some dealers.
So you could make as much on an 8 grand car as you could a 38 grand car or a 50 grand car.
Percentage wise, definitely yes.
Right.
Because the percentage is a lot more.
Correct.
So, but then it's a numbers game. You've got to churn the cars out.
So you prefer to sit where I see your cars, 30 to 70 grand. That's your bracket.
Yeah, our market's like 20 to 70 grand.
Or the M140i, anything up to AMG GTS.
Yeah.
But that sat around longer, so more desirable cars.
Yeah, we kind of don't really like anything over 100 grand here. We're kind of 100 grand down, really, 20 to 100. But our predominant market is probably 20 to 50. That's what we sell. Yeah, that's what we sell every day. But good luck trying to find them cars, by the way, guys.
No, I know. Well,
That's always been the hardest part of becoming a motor dealer, or being a motor dealer. It's not selling, it's the buying. It's always been the most important thing.
How I've seen people do it in the past is literally they just scroll through Auto Trader. Is that a thing anymore?
I don't do that.
On private sale?
Yeah, so again, I've never needed to do that because I'm lucky I have a contact base of people that I can buy cars from. But yeah, lots of dealers do that. You know, I know dealers that call private people up and say, "Can we sell or return your car? We can't give you the money for it because we haven't got the money," which is always barbaric for me because this business is all about, unfortunately, it's all about money. So I know that some dealers do it on a sale or return basis, or they'll call up and say, "Can we buy your car?" and they'll negotiate a fee with the dealer. That's fairly common.
Okay.
But I don't do that.
Right.
I don't need to do that.
Overheads. Let's get on to overheads because I think people, that's the scary part, which people, they don't see it, do they?
It's the most important thing in
thing in business. So your overheads, do you try and limit your staff? Do you try and, how are your overheads high?
They were. They're not as now. So since coronavirus, because obviously we have an amount of borrowing from the bank to stock the cars, so that was a little bit out of control in early part of the year, and I realised that, so I've cut that back. So our actual borrowing is not very big now, which means our overheads are smaller, which means our advertising costs are smaller because we've got less cars, which means our staff is smaller. And me as an owner, am I earning less money? No, I'm probably earning more. Sometimes you can get caught in a wheel where you think you can rule the world, you take your eye off a little bit, you end up working to just pay the bills, which means you're earning less money. So that's the biggest advice I can give anyone. And I'm not Richard Branson or nothing like that. Don't take advice from me by any strength of the imagination. But the biggest advice I can give anyone is keep your overheads down in any business, because that's the key to you earning money or
yeah,
earning
because
more.
if you have 30 grand a month going out on advertising, but you're earning 20, then
You're losing 10 grand a month. Yeah, it's not funny at that point.
no, it's actually not.
And we've had months where we were losing that kind of money, and it's not nice, mate. It's not nice at all.
And how do you deal with sort of a question which people would want to ask is, how do you deal when it's bad? Because obviously sometimes you call me and you said I've sold 10 cars this week, 15 cars this week, but then from how I've seen it from my dad's side, you go to week 4 in the winter, you might not sell a car.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
So this month has been a very good example of that. We normally sell between 25 and 30 cars a month, average every month, roughly. This month, because of lockdown and because we're closed, we've sold 8.
Wow.
So that's not enough.
And we're nearly at the end of the month.
And we're nearly at the end of the month, so that's not enough. So as a business, the business will lose money this month. But we don't really look at it over a month. You have to look at it over a quarter and then a year. So as long as the business has made money throughout the year, and it has to, because there's no point. So if you can have one bad month as long as you recover. When you start having 2, 3, 4, it's hard to get that money back.
How to get that back?
Yeah. So I'm to be fair, I'm fairly on it. I don't, I react very quickly if I see that we're not doing very well.
So next month is.
Yeah.
And then maybe this time of year you've got to look at more SUVs.
Well, yeah, I mean, we buy them all year round, but definitely this time of year we stop buying sports cars as much. It's predominantly what we're known for now because of social media. We're kind of known for them, that 20 to 50 grand sports car sort of stuff.
That's a good.
That's our market, yeah. So I know that people go on the website, and that will be because of social media, specifically just to look at our stock now, as opposed to coming through Auto Trader and then finding it. They'll go straight direct to the website. I expect Romans have the same thing, and some of these other big dealers, people won't go on Auto Trader, they go straight to the website.
I think that's what I do, yeah. I rather comparing on Auto Trader. Okay, that leads me on to one of the last things. Auto Trader bills are more than people think.
They're huge.
I think, because I was amazed when you told me this, because I'd be like, I just whack a car on Auto Trader. So if people are looking to start, that's something you do need to take in consideration. Because
when you've got 50,
how much is it per car?
So we pay I can tell you how much our Auto Trader bill is. We have a 50 car subscription on Auto Trader, and it's about 85 grand a year, roughly, just to Auto Trader.
Really?
Yes.
85.
That's
How much is that a month?
About 7 grand.
It's about 7 grand a month on advertising.
Just Auto Trader.
That is just one.
Yeah, we spend about 10 grand a month on advertising, roughly. So that's 120 grand on every advertising before you go out the doors. That's just advertising. Then you've got your rent and your rates and your staff, and I mean the bills just come. It just goes on and on and on.
Scary.
Yeah, it can be.
You got to be on it. So when people see there might be 2 or 3, 4 grand across a car, by the time you've paid your tax, by the time you've done this, by the time you've done that, that's quickly dwindled down.
Yeah. So that's what people don't always get. That's another thing that people don't understand, that they instantly think if we've got a 3 or 4 grand margin in a car, that's our money. And people sometimes look at that and think, well, that's a lot for selling a car. But honestly, people do not know what goes into. And then we go back to that thing of, we don't make money on everything. You know.
Well, that's true.
There's a percentage of cars that we lose money on.
There must be a time where you look at a car and you think, we just need to get that gone.
Yeah,
and if someone, you know, I guess you look at the market, and your car will go with that market. If there's suddenly 4 cheaper than yours, you're going to have to reduce it.
Well, what we do things a little bit different here. So we work a little bit more like a main dealer. We'll obviously reduce car and we give it a time and we give it a period of time that's to be here. But if it's here a long time, I won't just keep reducing it. I just get rid of it in the trade and lose the money.
So sometimes you cut your losses early.
Sometimes just cut losses, yeah.
Before it gets really bad.
Before it gets really bad, and it's the main dealer model. You know, they have like a 90 or 120 days. It's a little bit more flexible because it's all more me. But they have a fixed policy.
Oh, really? So they say if it's not gone in 90 days...
Or 120 days, get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Bin it out.
Wow.
So they sell it in the trade and they lose money in that.
Yeah.
That's how it works. And we're the same to a certain extent, but if we look at a car and we think, why is that car still here? Is the advert right? There's lots of different reasons.
And you start panicking. You start thinking like, what?
Yeah. If it's for no reason, it's just people aren't looking for it, then we stick with it. But and the money's right, then we stick with it. There's one particular car here, the BMW 1M, that we've had in stock for 2 years. But I couldn't care less about it because I'm quite happy for it to sit here. But you can't have a showroom full of cars.
No,
like
you can't. Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
You know, it's only because that's a special car, and I'm honestly not bothered about it. You know, my average stock turn is about 40 days. Average.
Okay.
Yeah. So in and out. Yeah. We don't have them.
So what would your advice be to someone looking to start in this industry?
I honestly don't advise.
Would you advise someone to more, instead of just going out and starting and making money through cars, because you know that's pretty much what people want to do, would you advise people to start in a main dealer?
Yeah.
Work in a main dealer, see how the game works, and if you like it the way it looks, then potentially go your own way.
Yeah, or start very small, like I did. Start with £100, £200 cars, but again, you'll realise very quickly that there's not as much money in car sales as we're established now. We're different, but it's a numbers game, mate. You have to sell cars. You can't just. It's all right having 15 or 20 cars in stock. Oh, I've got 500 grand, I've got £500,000, I'm going to go and buy 15 or 20 really nice cars, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to wait for them to sell. That doesn't work like that.
It's not that easy, is it?
It does not work like that.
You could have 10 million in the bank, it's still not that easy.
If you don't know what you're doing, you'll lose it all. It's just as simple as that.
So if you're me.
Well, yeah. You got sacked from your dad's work as a cleaner.
I mean, it's true. I mean, I'm not going to deny it. I mean, those were the early days, and I thought racing was the better avenue, costing my family a fortune going racing, and when I should have just been starting up businesses. But I've learnt that lesson the hard way, and I don't have much to show for it.
The fact of the matter is that your dad would rather have paid for you to go racing than run his business.
He lived, he lived his dream through me.
He did, yeah.
And cost him a fair bit of money. But I'm not the only person that it's cost a fair bit of money for. We know a lot of people where racing is
spent a lot more than you.
Do you know how to make money racing?
Be Lewis Hamilton.
Start with a large one.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
That's what they say. So there's not much anyway. So there we go. That's a bit of a different style video. Yeah, that's it. That is the video. So I just really like insights and stuff of how things work. We've put Tony's phone on airplane mode because
how long was that? 20 minutes?
Yeah. So there we go. We have to
edit some of that. I mean, some of it was terrible.
No, it's fine.
It's one take.
Yeah, you can tell people to subscribe for that if you want.
Well, if you want to keep listening to us talking, guys, you can take the bit out if you like, and subscribe and like and comment. And that's that.
Comment below what your thoughts are to this video. It was fun. Maybe we can do some more in the future. Thumbs up, you name it.
And I have no problem with you guys DMing me, but please, Not loads.
All right, that's
Because
fine.
I've told you, I don't advise you to be a motor dealer. So please don't ask me stupid questions. If it's a valid question, I'll answer it. Otherwise, I cannot do it.
Is that it?
Goodbye.